wanted to talk about specifically the specialty in terms of having an attorney or someone who handles these kinds of things. Workers' compensation is a very niche practice, very specialized, and it is imperative, very important that you have someone, certainly me, if not me, then someone who handles these types of cases. You want to ask your attorney how many times they go to workers' comp. Do they go every day? Do they know the judges? It's very, very important to be aware of what's going on. And same goes for Social Security, and the same goes for pensions. I have found in my experience that there are not a lot of lawyers that do the pension litigation on a regular basis. There are some. And so, again, you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions. Some of the right questions are, are you certified as a workers' comp attorney? Do you go to court every day? Do you know who the adversary is? Do you know who the judges are? Very clear, short, sweet, concise questions that will give you a sense of whether or not that they're regular in terms of handling these kinds of matters. The next thing I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of is we've talked about it a couple of times, but I wanted to make sure that when we've talked about when you get hurt at work, being entitled to receive medical treatment and getting paid when you're out of work and being entitled to receive an award, it's very important to understand that in New Jersey, because Jersey is very different than New York and very different from Pennsylvania. So when we're discussing all of this stuff, it's in terms of New Jersey, and in New Jersey, we'll call it the downside to workers' comp is that the employer/insurance company gets the right to pick the medical treatment. So they're the ones who are going to say, okay, you got to go see Dr. A or Dr. B or whatever. Now, the downside to that is that you can't, we got to start with having to go see the Concentras of the world and the occupational healths of the world. And not until usually when we get involved, are we able to get our clients to the specialists that they need to see. And that's the whole trick, to get away from what we'll call the doc in the box. But the doctors that are on board with the insurance carriers. Interestingly enough, it's happening, but interestingly enough, we actually saw recently, an internal memo from one of the orthopedic groups where they were advised that they may not want to make as many recommendations for additional treatment as they were making. Now it was very, very carefully worded, but you read between the lines and it was very clear what was being said. And that they don't want, their doctors getting too close to, petitioners' attorneys, plaintiffs' attorneys, because they want to be more tied to the insurance side of things. So it really speaks volumes to what we talk about all the time, which is that, this is a system that's stacked against the injured worker, and that in order to make sure that you're receiving the appropriate benefits, that you're receiving the benefits that you need to basically get better, to get back to work. This isn't like, it's not something that's a gift or like some that you're all of a sudden requesting out of nowhere, or requesting procedures that are, only done one place in the world. We're talking about medical treatment that's going to make you better, that's going to get you in a position to be back at work. And the question that I always tell clients to ask their doctor is this how you would treat your mom or your dad? Put it right in their lap, because, for the most part, I would think the answer would probably be no. But remember that the issue is, first, we got to get through the medical treatment phase of things. We've got to get through like I said, the Concentras of the world, and then get you to the specialists. In terms of being out of work, making sure that you're getting paid correctly is critical. When you're out of work, you have to make sure that you're getting paid correctly, that the amount of monies that you're getting are those that are correct, and that that you're getting paid the right rate, and that you're getting paid the right amount of time, and all of those things. And what we're seeing more and more is that the insurance company, the insurance side of things, are making it more and more difficult to make sure that things are happening correctly, and that you're getting paid correctly, and things are getting done. And more, what we're seeing is that it doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother the adjuster. It doesn't bother, I had somebody say to me the other day, I was in court, and we found out that my client didn't go to an exam. So they're saying, oh, your client missed an exam. Well, what we found out is they had the wrong phone number. So they weren't even getting a hold of my client because they had the wrong phone number. So the attorney comes on to court and says, your client missed the exam. I said, no, your client's incompetent and they had the wrong phone number. So, but they try to make it seem like it's my client's fault because he missed the appointment. And, maybe if their client had not been incompetent and screwed up the phone number, my client would have gone. So, and magically, as soon as they had the right phone number, he's gone to all the appointments. So, but the way in which it's said, your client missed, those are the things that are happening all across the board. So more and more we have to keep fighting, for those kinds of things. Which it's amazing, because only 5 years ago, before COVID, that was not the case. We were not fighting 5 years ago for the things that we have to fight for now. And that's because, in my opinion, it's because we're still virtual, we're still transactional, and it's easy to hide behind a computer screen. If you're sitting there in chambers, you're sitting in front of a judge, it's not easy to hide. There's nowhere to go. So, hopefully one day soon we'll be back, but not anytime in the near future, at least according to what the director of workers' comp just told us a couple of days ago. So we'll see. The last thing I just wanted to touch upon real quick is authorizations. If you do not have an attorney yet, and the insurance company is sending you medical authorizations, there's two things. One, get an attorney. But two, there's no, unless there's a specific pre-existing situation. I've injured my, let's say, knee before, and I've now been involved in a new injury to my knee. We want the insurance company to have those prior knee records, so that's okay. But there is no justification for a workers' comp insurance company, an adjuster, getting a hold of your family personal records. Unless there's a case that's, like I said, unless there's some pre-existing medical there, or unless it's an occupational claim and we want them to have those records. If you've been involved in a specific work-related accident, there's no justification for the insurance company to tiptoe through your private medical records. So, and there's just no call for it. And they try it all the time. There are two specific law firms that will write requests for medical authorizations, and they're going to try and go through every little bit of whatever to, do that. And there's no requirement for that. So, again, if you don't have an attorney and they send you authorizations, definitely get an attorney. But again, be aware that they're not entitled to just randomly requesting medical records or discovery. Or there are rules, there are things that they can get, but for the most part, they just can't go scrambling around and go fishing.